But it seems that one of the parting shots, literally in this case, that Joe Biden has delivered is these ATACMS long range missiles, which have now been given authorization by the United States to attack deep into Russia. We saw this last night or early this morning, depending on where you are, where a weapons facility, ammo stockpile, was hit by the Ukrainians deep within this is in the international recognized borders of Russia with U.S. NATO weapons. Tony, what is going on, and are we seeing an escalation here before a de-escalation, or does this have the possibility of causing a situation to spill out of control?
I think it's the latter. So note where we're at. First, this isn't Biden. This is Tony Blinken and Jake Sullivan attempting to box President Trump into having to deal with an expanded war. That's what's going on. This is about expansion, not giving the Ukrainians leverage. This is about potentially moving us towards World War III. That's what the neocons want. That's what they've always wanted. And keep in mind here, Jack, how many times have we been told if the Ukrainians just get this one more weapon, just get this one more tool, they're going to win? We were told that over a year ago. We're told the M1s was going to do it. We're going to do it. The M16s, the F-16s. This is all about drawing this out. And ultimately, they thought they were going to continue this into a Kamala Harris administration. Well, they can't. So this is their last shot. This is what they've got left. They got $9 billion to play with. They got this policy to use. And let me be very clear on this. I'm not pro-Putin, but I am pro-reality. The Russians have said there's two red lines that they will not allow us to cross. First is no membership in NATO for Ukraine. Well, that's not going to happen, not anytime soon, if ever. Secondly, don't allow advanced weapons to be used in Russia past the 2014 borders. And they have. So that's why you saw a very public revision of the nuclear strike policy of the Russians yesterday. And now there's a potential for that to be used. And let me be clear on this, Jack. We've talked about this before. What if Putin decides to use a nuclear weapon in Kursk on their own territory? What are they going to do? They have that right. The Ukrainians have invaded. So what's to prevent Putin from taking out, 3,000 or 4,000 Ukrainians in one 15-kiloton Hiroshima-sized strike just to make a point? Secondly, what are we going to do if he hits Ukraine? Because, again, there's no policy for that. So the West what's the saying? Mess around and find out. So we're about to find out how much poking the bear in the eye is going to benefit anybody. But I see this as an attempt to get Trump boxed in, so he has to maintain the war no matter what. That's what I think is really going on.
Well, no, I think that's right as well. And so the idea being then is they're looking for Russia to essentially have that response then, isn't it? They're trying to provoke a bigger response. Meanwhile, what we're seeing with Russia is, and this has to be said because we haven't really done an update on this in a minute, but Russia at this point, and there's something that if you go and read some of the Russian hardliners right now, what they're saying is, why should we negotiate at all? Why negotiate when we are winning? And if you look on the ground, Russia is currently taking more territory in Ukraine than they did even at the beginning of the war, which is now almost 3 years ago. And so that could very well be what we're looking for is a potential. They're looking to provoke that response. They want Russia to respond. They want them to come back to create a situation where President Trump has to continue the status quo rather than seek a peace deal. Because if Russia commits to some larger action, then the entire media is going to be blowing down his neck, saying you've got to stay the course. How can you seek peace with the guy who blew up Odessa or something? Not that the Russians would do that, but again, that seems to be what they're trying to provoke. Tony, what's going on?
Well, look, again, we're in a gray area here. I don't think the Russians are going to take the bait. But then again, I think they could do something, as I mentioned. If they chose to set off a tactical nuke on Russian territory, what are we going to do? What would the West do? What if they take out that brigade of Ukrainians near Kursk. Just say it. I mean, what would we do? And I think that's the thing we have to face here is that the Russians are deadly serious about this. Now, I think Trump reaching out is the only hope of keeping this from expanding. That is to say that he's reached out to the leaders. I think he's got the potential to lower this. And I think if I have not talked to the Trump folks at all, I've not talked to the president, but instinctively, I think what I would do if I were President Trump is just say, look, Biden's compromised. That's why they didn't let him run. You've got uncontrolled, unaccountable bureaucrats in the form of Tony Blinken, Jake Sullivan, who is his best destiny is to go back to being a Democrat operative, not even pretending he understands national security. Those are the guys in charge. Those are the ones provoking this. Give us until 20 January before you take any serious response. Kind of take it on the chin right now is what he's probably going to be telling them. So I think Putin is smart enough to understand that the United States under Trump would be very serious about negotiating. I think we just have to get to 20 January without any major escalation, which is going to be the challenge. By the way, another thing I said, Jack, on your show is that the maximum time of danger is from, if Trump wins, is from the 6th of November to the 20th of January, because the deep state, they're already doing it. I think they thought they were going to win. They lost. Now they're going through the different options they have to provoke Trump and to keep the war going. And also, I think they're going to do something domestically before the 20th of January as well.